Introduction. Do you know why the Third Crusade, 1189 to 1192, stands as one of the most significant military campaigns of the medieval period? Do you know who its notable leaders were and what its strategic battles were? Why did the Third Crusade have a profound impact on both the Christian and Muslim worlds? Let us delve into the origins, events, and outcomes of the Third Crusade, analyzing the perspectives of various historical sources and schools of thought to provide a comprehensive understanding of this pivotal conflict. Historical context and origins. The fall of Jerusalem. The catalyst for the Third Crusade was the fall of Jerusalem to Saladin in 1187. The city, which held immense religious significance for Christians, Jews, and Muslims, had been under Christian control since the First Crusade, 1096 to 1099. Saladin, the Sultan of Egypt and Syria, unified the Muslim forces and recaptured Jerusalem after the decisive Battle of Hattin. This event sent shockwaves through Christendom, prompting Pope Gregory VIII to issue the papal bull Audita Tremendi, calling for a new crusade to reclaim the Holy Land. Jerusalem's significance cannot be overstated. For Christians, it was the site of Christ's crucifixion and resurrection, while for Muslims, it was home to the Al-Aqsa Mosque and the Dome of the Rock, the latter marking the spot from which Prophet Muhammad is believed to have ascended to heaven during the night journey. The fall of such a pivotal city not only had spiritual repercussions but also geopolitical ones, as it threatened the existence of the Crusader states established during the First Crusade. Motivations for the Crusade. The motivations behind the Third Crusade were multifaceted. Religious fervor and the desire to reclaim Jerusalem were primary driving forces. However, political and economic factors also played significant roles. European monarchs saw the Crusade as an opportunity to assert their dominance, gain prestige, and expand their territories. Additionally, the Crusade provided a means to channel the military energies of restless knights and nobles into a common cause. Religious zeal was fueled by the promise of indulgences, a concept propagated by the Church where those who took up the cross were granted remission of their sins. This spiritual incentive was compelling for many, offering eternal salvation in exchange for military service. Economically, the Crusade opened new avenues for trade and wealth acquisition. Italian city-states like Venice and Genoa, which provided naval support, saw the Crusade as an opportunity to expand their trade networks. The promise of spoils of war, land grants, and other material benefits also attracted many to the cause. The role of the papacy. The papacy played a critical role in the organization and promotion of the Third Crusade. Pope Gregory VIII's call for the Crusade emphasized the spiritual rewards for participants, including the remission of sins. This religious motivation was a powerful incentive for many crusaders. The papacy also facilitated the coordination and funding of the crusade, leveraging its influence across Europe to garner support from various monarchs and nobility. Papal bulls, sermons, and church decrees were instrumental in rallying support. The Church's involvement underscored the perceived divine mandate of the crusade, framing it as a holy war sanctioned by God. The papacy's ability to unite disparate European powers under a common religious cause was a testament to its influence during the medieval period. Political and social climate in Europe. The late 12th century was a period of political fragmentation and feudal conflict in Europe. The call for the Third Crusade provided a unifying cause that transcended local disputes and rivalries. Monarchs like Richard I of England and Philip II of France saw the Crusade as an opportunity to project their power and influence on an international stage. Feudal lords and knights were motivated by both piety and the promise of adventure and wealth. The social structure of feudal Europe, with its emphasis on martial prowess and loyalty to one's lord, aligned well with the crusading ethos. The crusade offered a means for younger sons of nobility who had little prospect of inheriting land, to gain wealth and status. The social and economic fabric of medieval Europe was deeply intertwined with the crusading movement. Towns and cities benefited from the increased demand for supplies and services, while the nobility leveraged the crusade to consolidate their power and influence. The promise of indulgences also appealed to the broader populace, who saw participation in the crusade as a way to secure their salvation. Key figures and leadership. Richard the Lionheart. Richard I of England, known as Richard the Lionheart, was one of the most prominent leaders of the Third Crusade. His reputation as a skilled warrior and tactician earned him the respect of both his allies and enemies. Richard's commitment to the crusade was unwavering, and he played a crucial role in several key battles, including the Siege of Acre and the Battle of Arsuf. His leadership style, characterized by boldness and decisiveness, made him a formidable figure in the crusading effort. Richard's journey to the Holy Land was fraught with challenges. He faced logistical difficulties, including securing supplies and maintaining the morale of his troops. His relationship with other Crusader leaders was also complex, marked by both cooperation and rivalry. Despite these challenges, Richard's military acumen and charismatic leadership were instrumental in the successes of the crusade. Richard's motivations were driven by both piety and personal ambition. He saw the crusade as a means to solidify his legacy and demonstrate his prowess as a warrior king. His bold and often reckless decisions, such as his daring attack on the city of Jaffa, showcased his willingness to take risks to achieve his goals. Philip II of France. Philip II of France, also known as Philip Augustus, was another key leader of the crusade. Although his relationship with Richard was marked by rivalry and tension, Philip's participation was vital to the Crusade's initial successes. His contributions to the Siege of Acre were significant, and his presence lent considerable weight to the crusading effort. However, Philip's early departure from the campaign in 1191 due to political and personal reasons left Richard as the primary Christian leader in the Holy Land. Philip's return to France was motivated by a combination of health issues and the need to secure his political interests at home. His departure underscored the internal divisions and competing priorities that often plagued the Crusader leadership. Philip's departure had significant implications for the crusade. It strained the already tenuous relationship between the remaining leaders and highlighted the challenges of maintaining a unified front. The rivalry between Richard and Philip also reflected the broader political dynamics of medieval Europe, where personal ambitions often intersected with broader geopolitical goals. Frederick I Barbarossa. The Holy Roman Emperor Frederick I Barbarossa also joined the crusade, leading a large German contingent. Unfortunately, his untimely death in 1190 during the journey to the Holy Land dealt a significant blow to the Crusade's momentum. Frederick's death led to the dispersal of much of the German army, weakening the overall crusading force. Frederick's participation highlighted the broader European involvement in the crusade and the logistical challenges of mobilizing and maintaining a large army across vast distances. His death was a significant setback, illustrating the unpredictable nature of such military expeditions and the impact of individual leaders on the course of events. Frederick's legacy as a crusader was marked by his determination and leadership. His death, however, underscored the fragility of medieval military campaigns and the importance of effective leadership. The loss of the German contingent weakened the crusading effort and highlighted the need for coordination and support among the various European powers. Saladin. On the Muslim side, Saladin was the central figure. His leadership, strategic acumen, and ability to unite the Muslim factions were instrumental in resisting the Christian forces. Saladin's conduct during the crusade, particularly his chivalry and magnanimity, earned him a lasting legacy as one of the most respected figures of the medieval period. Saladin's strategies included both military and diplomatic efforts. He skillfully managed the resources of his empire, maintaining supply lines and fortifications to withstand the Crusader assaults. His ability to maintain the loyalty of his diverse forces and to negotiate with the Crusader leaders demonstrated his diplomatic prowess. Saladin's leadership was crucial in ensuring that the Muslim states could withstand the sustained pressure of the Crusade. Saladin's rise to power and his efforts to unify the Muslim states were key factors in his success. His strategic use of alliances and his ability to inspire loyalty among his troops were critical in his defense of Jerusalem and the surrounding territories. Saladin's legacy as a leader was marked by his ability to balance military prowess with diplomatic skill, ensuring the long-term stability of his realm. Major battles and campaigns. The Siege of Acre. The Siege of Acre, 1189 to 1191, was one of the longest and most grueling battles of the Third Crusade. Acre was a strategically important coastal city, and its capture was crucial for the Crusaders' plans to advance inland. The siege began with initial setbacks for the Crusaders, but the arrival of Richard the Lionheart and Philip II with reinforcements turned the tide. After months of intense fighting and a blockade that starved the city's defenders, Acre fell to the Crusaders in July 1191. The victory at Acre was a significant morale boost for the Crusaders, though it came at a high cost in terms of casualties and resources. The siege demonstrated the complexities of medieval siege warfare, including the use of siege engines, naval blockades, and the harsh conditions faced by both attackers and defenders. The fall of Acre also highlighted the importance of cooperation among the Crusader leaders, despite their rivalries, and the critical role of logistical support in sustaining a prolonged siege. The Siege of Acre was marked by a series of intense battles and skirmishes. The Crusaders employed various siege engines, including trebuchets and battering rams, to breach the city's defenses. The naval blockade, enforced by the fleets of Genoa, Pisa, and Venice, played a crucial role in cutting off supplies to the city's defenders. The fall of Acre was a turning point in the Crusade, providing the Crusaders with a vital stronghold and base of operations. The city's capture also had symbolic significance, as it demonstrated the determination and resilience of the Crusader forces. The victory, however, came at a high cost, with significant casualties on both sides and the devastation of the city's infrastructure. The Battle of Arsuf. The Battle of Arsuf, 1191, was another critical engagement, showcasing Richard the Lionheart's military prowess. As the Crusader army marched towards Jaffa, they were repeatedly harassed by Saladin's forces. Richard's strategic patience and disciplined command culminated in a decisive counterattack near Arsuf, where the Crusaders inflicted heavy losses on Saladin's army. The victory at Arsuf secured the coastal route to Jaffa and bolstered the Crusaders' position in the Holy Land. The battle demonstrated the effectiveness of Richard's leadership and the tactical flexibility of the Crusader forces. The disciplined use of cavalry charges and the ability to adapt to the fluid battlefield conditions were key factors in the Crusaders' success. The Battle of Arsuf also underscored the challenges of maintaining a cohesive force in the face of constant harassment and the importance of securing supply lines and strategic positions. Richard's strategy during the march to Arsuf involved maintaining a tight formation to protect his forces from Saladin's attacks. The Crusader army's disciplined advance, combined with Richard's tactical acumen, enabled them to withstand the continuous assaults by Saladin's cavalry. The decisive moment came when Richard launched a well-coordinated counterattack, breaking through Saladin's lines and securing a crucial victory. The aftermath of the battle saw the Crusaders consolidate their position along the coast, securing key supply routes and preparing for the next phase of their campaign. The victory at Arsuf boosted the morale of the Crusader forces and demonstrated Richard's capability as a military leader. The battle also highlighted the strategic importance of maintaining control over key coastal positions, which allowed the Crusaders to support their operations and sustain their campaign. The march to Jerusalem. Following the success at Arsuf, the Crusaders advanced towards Jerusalem. However, logistical challenges, the harsh climate, and Saladin's scorched earth tactics hindered their progress. Despite reaching within sight of Jerusalem, Richard ultimately decided against a direct assault, recognizing the difficulties of maintaining a prolonged siege and the risk of a counterattack by Saladin. This decision, though pragmatic, led to frustration and disappointment among the Crusader ranks. The march to Jerusalem illustrated the strategic complexities of the campaign and the importance of logistical planning. Richard's decision to forego the assault on Jerusalem was influenced by the recognition that a successful siege would require sustained support and reinforcements, which were not guaranteed. This pragmatic approach, while controversial, reflected the broader strategic considerations that shaped the crusade. The decision not to assault Jerusalem was based on a careful assessment of the military and logistical challenges. The Crusader forces were stretched thin, and the supply lines were vulnerable to attacks by Saladin's forces. The harsh climate and terrain further complicated the logistics of sustaining a prolonged siege. Richard's decision to focus on securing strategic coastal positions, such as Ascalon, reflected his understanding of the broader strategic picture. The failure to capture Jerusalem was a significant blow to the Crusaders' morale, but it also underscored the importance of strategic decision-making in medieval warfare. Richard's focus on securing a stable base of operations along the coast ensured that the Crusader states could be sustained in the long term, even if the immediate objective of capturing Jerusalem was not achieved. The Treaty of Jaffa. The Third Crusade concluded with the Treaty of Jaffa in 1192. The treaty, negotiated between Richard the Lionheart and Saladin, established a 3-year truce and allowed for Christian pilgrims to access Jerusalem safely. While the crusade did not achieve its primary objective of recapturing Jerusalem, the treaty secured a degree of stability and ensured the survival of the remaining Crusader states along the coast. The Treaty of Jaffa highlighted the role of diplomacy in medieval warfare and the recognition by both sides of the need for a temporary resolution. The terms of the treaty reflected the balance of power and the mutual recognition of each other's capabilities and limitations. The treaty also underscored the broader political and religious dynamics that influenced the crusade and the need for pragmatic solutions to complex conflicts. The negotiations leading to the treaty involved significant diplomatic efforts by both Richard and Saladin. The agreement to allow Christian pilgrims safe access to Jerusalem was a significant concession by Saladin, reflecting his willingness to compromise for the sake of stability. Richard's acceptance of the treaty, despite the failure to capture Jerusalem, demonstrated his pragmatic approach to the situation. The Treaty of Jaffa provided a temporary respite from the conflict and allowed both sides to regroup and consolidate their positions. The agreement also set the stage for future interactions between the Crusader states and the Muslim powers, highlighting the importance of diplomacy and negotiation in resolving conflicts. Historical analysis. Military strategies and tactics. The Third Crusade was marked by a clash of military strategies and tactics. The Crusaders, with their heavily armored knights and emphasis on direct combat, faced a formidable opponent in Saladin's agile and highly mobile forces. The battles of the Third Crusade highlighted the evolving nature of medieval warfare, where the importance of logistics, intelligence, and strategic planning became increasingly evident. Richard the Lionheart's ability to adapt to the conditions of the Holy Land and his tactical brilliance were key factors in the Crusaders' successes. The use of siege warfare, cavalry charges, and defensive fortifications were critical elements of the crusade. The Siege of Acre, for example, demonstrated the complexities of coordinating a prolonged siege, including the need for effective supply lines, communication, and cooperation among diverse forces. The Battle of Arsuf showcased the tactical flexibility of the Crusaders and the importance of disciplined leadership in the face of constant harassment. Saladin's strategies, on the other hand, emphasized mobility, the use of intelligence, and the strategic use of resources. His ability to conduct a successful defensive campaign against a numerically superior and well-armed foe highlighted the effectiveness of his tactics. The use of scorched earth tactics, hit-and-run attacks, and the strategic withdrawal to draw the Crusaders into vulnerable positions were key elements of Saladin's approach. Political and diplomatic dimensions. The political dynamics of the Third Crusade were complex, involving rivalries and alliances both within the Crusader ranks and with external powers. The tensions between Richard and Philip, as well as the competing interests of the various European states, often undermined the unity of the crusading effort. Diplomacy played a crucial role in the crusade, with Richard and Saladin engaging in negotiations that ultimately led to the Treaty of Jaffa. These diplomatic interactions reflected the pragmatism of both leaders, who recognized the limitations of their military capabilities and sought to secure a mutually acceptable resolution. The internal divisions among the Crusader leaders, including the rivalry between Richard and Philip, were significant obstacles to the success of the campaign. The departure of Philip and the subsequent lack of coordination among the remaining leaders illustrated the challenges of maintaining a unified front. Richard's diplomatic efforts, including negotiations with Saladin and efforts to secure support from local powers, were critical in achieving a temporary resolution through the Treaty of Jaffa. On the Muslim side, Saladin's ability to maintain unity among his diverse forces and to engage in diplomatic negotiations with the Crusaders was crucial. His recognition of the need for a temporary truce and the strategic concessions made in the Treaty of Jaffa reflected a pragmatic approach to the conflict. The treaty also demonstrated the broader political and religious considerations that influenced the crusade and the recognition by both sides of the need for a balanced resolution. Religious and cultural impact. The Third Crusade had profound religious and cultural implications. For the Christian world, the Crusade reaffirmed the enduring significance of the Holy Land and the deep-rooted desire to reclaim Jerusalem. The Crusade also reinforced the idea of holy war and the concept of chivalry, as epitomized by figures like Richard the Lionheart. On the Muslim side, Saladin's successful defense of Jerusalem solidified his status as a hero and symbol of Muslim resistance. The interactions between the Crusaders and the Muslim population during the Crusade also led to cultural exchanges, despite the prevailing hostilities. The religious motivations for the Crusade were deeply intertwined with the broader cultural and social dynamics of medieval Europe. The call to reclaim Jerusalem resonated with the deeply held beliefs and religious fervor of the time. The concept of holy war, as articulated by the papacy, provided a powerful justification for the crusade and motivated many participants. The cultural exchanges that occurred during the crusade, despite the hostilities, were significant. The interactions between the Crusaders and the local Muslim population led to the transfer of knowledge, technologies, and cultural practices. These exchanges had a lasting impact on both European and Middle Eastern societies, contributing to the broader processes of cultural diffusion and exchange that characterized the medieval period. Technological and cultural exchanges. The Third Crusade facilitated significant technological and cultural exchanges between the East and the West. The Crusaders were exposed to advanced Muslim military technologies, such as siege engines and fortification techniques, which they adopted and brought back to Europe. These technological exchanges had a lasting impact on European military architecture and engineering. Culturally, the interactions between the Crusaders and the Muslim populations led to the exchange of knowledge in various fields, including medicine, science, and philosophy. The translation and dissemination of Arabic texts into Latin played a crucial role in the intellectual revival of Europe during the High Middle Ages. The Crusade also exposed Europeans to new art, architecture, and culinary traditions, which influenced European culture in various ways. The technological exchanges were particularly significant in the fields of medicine and science. The Crusaders encountered advanced medical practices and treatments, which they adopted and brought back to Europe. The translation of Arabic medical texts into Latin facilitated the spread of medical knowledge and contributed to the development of European medicine. The cultural exchanges also had a profound impact on European art and architecture. The introduction of new artistic styles and techniques, influenced by Islamic art, enriched European artistic traditions. The adoption of new architectural elements, such as pointed arches and ribbed vaults, influenced the development of Gothic architecture in Europe. Long-term political consequences. The political consequences of the Third Crusade were far-reaching and long-lasting. The Crusade reinforced the authority and prestige of the participating monarchs, particularly Richard the Lionheart, whose exploits became legendary. The Crusade also highlighted the limitations of the papacy's ability to coordinate and control such large-scale military efforts, leading to changes in the relationship between the church and secular rulers. The failure to recapture Jerusalem and the subsequent Treaty of Jaffa underscored the complexities of the political situation in the Holy Land. The temporary truce established by the treaty provided a period of relative stability, but it also highlighted the need for ongoing negotiations and the recognition of the balance of power between the Christian and Muslim states. The Third Crusade set the stage for subsequent crusading efforts, and the continued presence of Crusader states in the Levant. The political dynamics of the Crusade also had significant implications for the European states. The rivalry between Richard and Philip reflected broader political tensions in Europe, which continued to shape the relationships between the European powers. The Crusade also demonstrated the potential for cooperation among the European states, even in the face of internal rivalries and conflicts. The long-term political consequences of the Crusade were also evident in the relationship between the Crusader states and the Muslim powers. The Treaty of Jaffa established a framework for future interactions, highlighting the importance of diplomacy and negotiation in maintaining stability. The political and military strategies developed during the Third Crusade continued to influence subsequent crusading efforts and the broader geopolitical landscape of the medieval world. The legacy of the Third Crusade. The legacy of the Third Crusade is multifaceted and enduring. The Crusade left a lasting imprint on the collective memory of both the Christian and Muslim worlds. The heroic narratives of leaders like Richard the Lionheart and Saladin became part of the cultural heritage and historical consciousness of their respective societies. In the Christian world, the Third Crusade reinforced the idea of holy war and the concept of chivalry. The Crusade also contributed to the development of a shared European identity, as knights and soldiers from different regions came together for a common cause. The experiences and memories of the Crusade were transmitted through chronicles, songs, and literature, shaping the cultural and historical narrative of medieval Europe. In the Muslim world, Saladin's successful defense of Jerusalem and his chivalrous conduct became symbols of Muslim resistance and heroism. The Crusade also contributed to the consolidation of Muslim political and military power in the region, reinforcing the unity and identity of the Muslim states. The Third Crusade also had a lasting impact on the historiography of the medieval period. The detailed chronicles and accounts of the Crusade provided a rich source of information for subsequent historians and scholars. The analysis and interpretation of these sources have evolved over time, reflecting changing perspectives and methodological approaches in the study of medieval history. Modern interpretations and relevance. Modern interpretations of the Third Crusade continue to evolve, reflecting new historical methodologies and perspectives. Scholars have increasingly focused on the experiences of ordinary participants, the economic and logistical dimensions of the Crusade, and the broader cultural exchanges between the East and the West. The study of the Third Crusade has also benefited from interdisciplinary approaches, incorporating insights from archaeology, anthropology, and environmental history. The relevance of the Third Crusade in contemporary discussions of religious conflict, cultural exchange, and historical memory underscores its enduring significance. The Crusade serves as a historical case study for understanding the complexities of interfaith relations, the dynamics of military and political power, and the processes of cultural interaction and exchange. The examination of primary sources and the historiographical perspectives offer valuable insights into the complexities and nuances of the Crusade. The legacy of the Third Crusade, reflected in the enduring historical and cultural significance of the events, continues to shape our understanding of medieval history. Historical sources and historiography. Primary sources. The primary sources for the Third Crusade include chronicles, letters, and official documents from both Christian and Muslim perspectives. Notable Christian chroniclers such as Ambrose, Roger of Howden, and the Itinerarium Peregrinorum et Gesta Regis Ricardi provide detailed accounts of the Crusades' events, highlighting the actions of key figures and the experiences of the Crusaders. Muslim sources, including the works of Baha ad-Din and Imad ad-Din, offer valuable insights into Saladin's strategies and the Muslim response to the Crusade. The Christian chronicles provide detailed narratives of the Crusade, emphasizing the valor and heroism of the Crusader leaders. These accounts often reflect the perspectives and biases of their authors, highlighting the religious motivations and justifications for the Crusade. The chronicles also provide valuable information on the logistics, strategies, and experiences of the Crusaders, offering a rich source of information for historians. The Muslim sources, on the other hand, offer a different perspective, emphasizing the strategies and leadership of Saladin. These accounts highlight the defensive efforts and the broader political and religious context of the Muslim response to the Crusade. The detailed descriptions of battles, negotiations, and the experiences of the Muslim forces provide a valuable counterpoint to the Christian narratives. Schools of historical thought. Historiography of the Third Crusade has evolved over time, reflecting different schools of thought and methodological approaches. Traditional narratives often focused on the heroism and valor of the Crusaders, with an emphasis on the exploits of Richard the Lionheart. However, modern historians have adopted more nuanced perspectives, considering the broader political, social, and economic context of the Crusade. Revisionist historians have challenged the romanticized portrayals of the Crusaders, highlighting the complex motivations behind the Crusade and the pragmatic decisions made by leaders like Richard and Saladin. Additionally, scholars have explored the experiences of ordinary participants, including soldiers, merchants, and pilgrims, to provide a more comprehensive understanding of the Crusade's impact on medieval society. The evolution of historiography on the Third Crusade reflects broader trends in the field of medieval history, including the shift towards social and cultural history. The focus on the experiences of ordinary participants, the examination of economic and logistical factors, and the consideration of cross-cultural interactions have enriched our understanding of the Crusade. The diverse perspectives and methodological approaches of modern historians have contributed to a more nuanced and comprehensive view of the Third Crusade. Conclusion. The Third Crusade was a defining moment in medieval history, characterized by its significant battles, influential leaders, and lasting impact on the Christian and Muslim worlds. Through a detailed analysis of the events, strategies, and historical sources, this essay has sought to provide a comprehensive understanding of the Third Crusade from the perspective of a professional historian. The Crusade's legacy continues to resonate, serving as a reminder of the enduring complexities of religious conflict, political ambition, and cultural exchange in the medieval period. Thanks for listening to Medieval Chronicles 1066. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, check out our Apple and Spotify podcasts for more medieval history adventures. Stay curious.